If you choke me out, I'll find a black belt, give it to you. How about that?
If I choke you out, I will finish with this sport.
I said that I'm the king here. I will stay a long time. I'm gonna come for everybody. I kill everybody.
One of the most tenacious welterweight fighters of all time, Swedish UFC fighter Khamzat Chimaev has been constantly climbing the ranks in the UFC. Still undefeated, Khamzat has been phenomenal in the octagon. He can face anybody, anywhere, and he doesn't care who he fights. At the age of 28, Khamzat is still nearing his prime. He's getting better year after year, and it's just a matter of time before he gets a shot at a world title in the UFC. And this Swedish fighter does not fear anyone. He just beats people in the octagon, and he doesn't give a damn about what people say. Khamzat started his UFC career with a quick 2-0 record, and in his third fight though, analysts were saying that this was his first real obstacle in the UFC as he fought the veteran American MMA fighter Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert is a ferocious fighter and a veteran in the UFC with over 30 wins. But Khamzat does not care if he's a veteran or not, and in the interviews, he lets him know that he did not fear anybody.
All right, if you choke me out, I'll find a black belt, give it to you. How about that?
If I choke you out, I will finish with this sport.
Okay,
After Meerschaert boasted and promised to choke him out, Khamzat responded in the most savage way possible, stating that if he choked Meerschaert out, he was going to take his black belt and insisted that he needed to step away from the UFC. And what did Khamzat do? He knocked the hell out of him with just one punch, an absolute maniac.
Just like that.
He knocked him out with the first punch he threw. Khamzat is terrifying, and to add more insult to his opponent, he continued teasing him in the post-fight press conference as he said this to Meerschaert.
So how did you feel about your performance this evening?
Feel good. Feel good to knock him out.
Khamzat is an absolute savage. He's a freak of nature, and he just knew that his opponent was scared from the get-go. Now, with a 3-0 record in the UFC, he set his sights on the title as he knew that he was deserving of having a shot at the elusive welterweight belts. A year later, he fought against a resilient Chinese fighter, Li Jingliang, and Khamzat once again came out on top as he submitted his opponent in the first round. He fully dismantled his opponent in the opening round. This makes it 3 straight round 1 victories for the vicious Khamzat. After his fight, Khamzat let the entire UFC know who the new king of the UFC was. He called out the entire roster, and he seems like he's gonna kill someone.
I said that I'm the king here. I will stay a long time. I'm gonna come for everybody. I kill everybody.
He wanted Dana White to give him a real challenge. He's tired of fighting weaker opponents, and he wants the title oh so badly. Dana White returned the favor as he booked a fight for Khamzat against the number 2 ranked veteran fighter, Gilbert Burns. It's safe to say that Gilbert Burns was the toughest opponent Khamzat had to face at that time, and the fighter he wanted and needed to fight. Gilbert Burns is a ferocious fighter in his own right, and a win here most likely gives him a shot at a title. Khamzat certainly knows how to get onto his opponent's nerves. He doesn't care if he's ranked number 2 in the world or number 1 in the world. He promised to smash that guy into bits, and he does not hesitate. He even tried to intimidate his opponent at a hotel before their fight.
Ready? Go! Skinny. Let's go.
Before the fight, it was also revealed that Gilbert Burns was working out with the current champion back then, Kamaru Usman, and Khamzat gave his savage thoughts on why Usman was helping Burns.
I feel sorry for both that guys. I'm gonna smash that guy and punch his face. His best friend will stay in the corner and make him scared as well. You know?
Well, Khamzat delivered. He backed up on all his trash talk and defeated Burns via a unanimous decision. Well, it was definitely the hardest fight of Khamzat's career, but he still came out on top. Khamzat became a big shot overnight, and now he's in the UFC title picture, climbing up the ranks of the welterweights. Being on top surely felt good for Khamzat, and he is super confident that he can beat anyone. Famous YouTuber and rising boxer Logan Paul shared his hilarious experience while in a gym in Sweden where he ran into Khamzat himself.
I went to Sweden to train, and I went to this gym. And I looked over, and there was this guy like kind of staring at me. Big beard, looked like a badass. It was where Gustafsson trained.
Imagine a 6'2" bulked up guy with a mustache just staring at your soul, intimidating the hell out of you. Khamzat is a menace even outside the octagon. Back in the UFC, Khamzat had been on the line for a title shot against the former champion Kamaru Usman, but Dana White decided to book him against the veteran and crowd favorite Nate Diaz. And well, Khamzat surely did not like the idea of fighting Diaz and said what he thought of the guy.
And the guy's getting older. He's not that guy like when he beats like that, you know, like he's not that young guy. This is his last fight. Wanna lose his fight, wanna go some boxing shit, you know. And I give him, you know, I kick him ass, let him go.
Khamzat is confident that he's gonna smash Nate Diaz to pieces, and 1 month before the fight, Khamzat also said this about Nate Diaz as he wanted to prove who the better fighter really is.
I am always open for that fight. He's respect for that guy. He took that fight. You know, he knows I'm younger and hungry. You know, like I'm going up and take my belt.
But in a shocking turn of events ahead of the Diaz fight, Khamzat missed weight and also missed the opportunity to fight Nate Diaz. And the fans in the crowd were livid. They were pissed that Khamzat missed his weight. Joe Rogan even asked Khamzat about this, and what did he do? He let the people know what he thought about them. He gave the whole crowd the middle finger. It just shows how savage this man really is. He simply doesn't care. After missing the weight against his fight with Diaz, Dana White instead put Kevin Holland as the next opponent for Khamzat in UFC 279. And oh boy, Khamzat displayed a perfect performance against Holland as he submitted him in the very first round. He dismantled Holland in a convincing fashion and showed how immense their gap really is. Khamzat is ready to be the king of the welterweights, and after that fight, Khamzat gave one of the most iconic post-fight interviews in the history of the UFC.
I'm here with the winner, Khamzat Chimaev.
Hey, so what now? Say something! So what now?
Even though the crowd was booing him, he continued and trash talked to everybody. He called out once again the entire welterweight division and said that he would kill them all. Khamzat is an absolute maniac, just a madman. He doesn't care if all the people in the stadium are booing him. He's gonna say whatever he wants to say. Khamzat is so pumped up even after the fight. In the post-fight press conference, he was asked about Nate Diaz, and he said this.
And I knew that night I'm gonna fight that guy, so then make my way up to the guy. I wasn't that more.
He is very confident in his skills, that's without a doubt. And with a fight like that, he knew that Nate Diaz was lucky that he didn't need to face Khamzat in the octagon, because Khamzat is a beast. After yet another dominant win against a formidable opponent, Khamzat decided to move up to the middleweights where he's gonna fight the likes of Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa. As he moved up in weight, the young, hungry, and feisty Khamzat Chimaev will surely come for that belt, and he doesn't care who he steps on. He's gonna do whatever the hell he wants.